Today, should Governor Lowe's term be extended? Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Welcome to this post covering finance and problem news with a distinctively Australian flavour. Very interesting article in Bloomberg this morning saying that Australian Central Bank Chief Philip Lowe's prospects for an extension to his role are far from clear-cut, according to economists, with some highlighting political hurdles to his reappointment. 11 of 21 economists contacted by Bloomberg says the governor deserved 3 more years at the helm, as was the case with his 2 predecessors. The remainder argued Lowe's policy and communication errors meant he should be replaced, preferably by someone from outside the Reserve Bank. Most economists opted to remain anonymous because of the political sensitivity of the issue. The governor's current 7-year term expires in September. But Lowe has faced intensifying criticism during his tenure. This ranged from the RBA failing to achieve its 2 to 3% inflation target prior to the pandemic, to then sticking with ultra-loose policy for too long and struggling to deliver coherent guidance. This has made his reappointment a contentious issue. Treasurer Jim Chalmers said that he'll use an independent review of the bank due in March to inform his decision and will likely make an announcement on the governor around mid-year, and Lowe says he wants to remain in the role. Navigating a once-in-a-100-year pandemic is an incredibly difficult challenge, said James McIntyre, Australia economist at Bloomberg, who argues that Lowe should be reappointed. While some may find fault with the RBA's decisions through the period, the results arguably speak louder. Australian employment is an all-time high, and the economy is in better shape than most counterparts, McIntyre said, adding that while inflation is elevated, that's driven primarily by external factors. Those in the no camp point to forecasting errors, the RBA holding on to a yield target for too long, and the governor completely misjudging the timing of rate liftoff. They say that these are reasons enough not to renew him. RBA's inflation forecast failed to detect the surge in price pressures, in fact. And based on RBA's quarterly outlook published in November 21 and 2022, you can see that there's been a very significant divergence. Yet, Lowe's report card does look good overall, said Bloomberg. During the first 6 years of his term, headline inflation averaged 2.7% and core prices 2.4%, both close to the 2 to 3% target midpoint. Meanwhile, unemployment is at a 48-year low. In addition, most central banks struggled with forecasting during the pandemic, and few came through it unscathed in terms of criticism. Some economists say that while Lowe's metrics are sound enough to warrant a 3-year extension, the politics of his reappointment may prove complicated. That's because Chalmers, having ordered the review of the RBA, will want to be seen to freshen up the institution. But there isn't a ready replacement inside the central bank, given Deputy Governor Michelle Bullock is still new to her role and probably not yet ready for the top job. One rumour is that former RBA number 2 Guy Debelle, who quit in March 2022 to join billionaire Andrew Forrest's clean energy venture, could return. A more realistic option would be to recruit offshore. The RBA has been criticised for insularity, with every governor bar one coming from inside the institution. Another reproach of the RBA is a lack of private sector experience among senior officials. The makeup of the rate-setting board has also been faulted for a lack of monetary policy expertise. A majority of economists said they expected the review to recommend a shake-up of the RBA's board, which is dominated by business figures. If that turns out to be the case, then, not wanting to cause too much disruption, the government would likely extend Lowe's term while appointing new board members, 2 respondents said. The RBA has faced heavy censure over forward guidance that suggests interest rates wouldn't rise until 2024, a pledge it abandoned in May last year as inflation surged. The bank has since hiked by 3 percentage points in the most aggressive tightening cycle since 1989. And one economist in favour of Lowe's extension said replacing him now might look like the government is uncomfortable with rapid-fire rate increases to contain consumer prices. Lowe's two predecessors also faced challenging periods. Glenn Stevens with the 2008 global financial crisis and Ian Macfarlane with the 1997 Asian financial crisis, and both served 10 years as governor. But neither faced anything on the scale of a global pandemic or were forced like Lowe to adopt unconventional policies. Those economists opposed to extending the governor argued that someone outside the central bank needs to be brought in. One candidate suggested was Kevin Walsh, an ex-Federal Reserve policymaker. Another economist said there's no need to be prescriptive about what the next governor does currently, but that the net should be cast wider than it has been previously. But my point would be this: the reason we have such strong inflation is actually significantly connected directly with monetary policy over the last few years, where we've created huge amounts of additional debt, low interest rates, and massive quantitative easing. That is why we have inflation. And whilst you can point to international conflict and other international factors, that is a homegrown problem. So the question will be whether in fact anybody really wants to recognise the root cause of the problem, poor monetary policy over 20 years, and whether anybody wants to do anything about it. That for me is the key test. I have a feeling we'll probably find the government will squib it. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.